Can I ask you something, Miss Evelyn? Do you know what her pain is? Because the only reason a person would behave in this manner,
we're not going to throw this behavior word around again. We're not going to do that. She does not have a behavior problem, and that's not fair.
First of all, your finger in my face is not going to work for me.
What the name calling is not going to work for me. Because I don't appreciate you keep throwing out these names. That is what about my disrespect? All I have been is disrespectful. I've been called. Wait a minute.
Okay, so baby, let me ask you something real quick. What if I told you Tamar Braxton is not the real problem? What if the true villain in the Braxton family saga this entire time has been Miss Evelyn? Yes, Missy herself. Now, before you all drag me in the comments, just hear me out, because this tea is scalding, and it's been brewing for years. Let's be real. The Braxton family drama has always been messy, chaotic, and downright exhausting. And time after time, who do we see at the center of it all? Tamar. But baby, is it really all her fault? Or is there something deeper going on that we've been ignoring? Let's talk about it. Let's get into this mess. Because honey, things are about to get real uncomfortable. Now when it comes to Tamar Braxton, the public already has their verdict. Folks say she's chaotic, attention-seeking, always starting drama, and holding grudges like it's a full-time job. And let's be honest, her public persona, dramatic, doesn't even scratch the surface. We've all seen it. The fights, the breakdowns, the social media rants. Tamar has truly given us everything. But here's where it gets interesting. Tamar herself has been saying for years that she is the way she is because of her mother. Yes, Miss Evelyn. And every time she says it, people roll their eyes and say, here she goes again, blaming somebody else. But what if she's been telling the truth this whole time? Tamar has been very open about her mental health struggles. She's spoken publicly, she's been vulnerable, and she's been clear about where a lot of her pain comes from. And every time, she circles right back to her mother's resentment, specifically Miss Evelyn's resentment toward their father. Tamar has said flat out that growing up in that environment, watching her mother carry all that bitterness, all that anger, all that unresolved resentment for years, baby, it left a mark, and it affected her deeply. And maybe, just maybe, that's a part of the story we've been refusing to hear.
Letting your mother run your life.
How dare he try to tell me how to raise my kids after he have abandoned us? He has some nerve.
Y'all have lives to live yourself, and she can't run her life, her home, and your home too.
And you know what? Had you been home long enough to help me to raise them, it wouldn't be such a problem. But where were you? Out there hanging in the street,
what did you do
doing
all
whatever
day?
you were
What
big
did you
enough
do
to do.
all day long?
What did you do?
What did you do?
See, this isn't just about Tamar having a bad day or being in her feelings. This is about childhood trauma, the kind that follows you into adulthood and shapes who you become. And when you really sit with it, baby, it starts to make sense. Now listen, let's be honest, because Tamar has absolutely given us the content over the years. Okay, she has fed the streets. Relationship drama with Vince? Check. Mess with Junior? Check. Fighting with her sisters on national television? Baby, the entire forest has been on fire for years now. And most recently, girl, she went and threw Funky Dineva under the bus. Someone who was supposed to be her friend. She strongly implied that she may have been attacked, which is not only serious but dangerous to put out there. And on top of all of that, there are allegations that she allegedly slept with some of Tony's men. Yes, Tony's men. Girl, her own sister's men. At this point, the chaos isn't just loud, it's layered. And it keeps forcing the same question. Where is all of this really coming from?
Steal anything.
You don't. You sold men.
Who's the man that I stole?
Tony's. You slept with them.
Oh,
a few times.
Who? What man?
You not get the link.
Oh, bitch. Dirty low down ass bitch.
Oh, you're such a liar. Such a liar.
Baby, when I tell you the mess runs deep, deep. It's thick, it's heavy, and at this point, it feels completely unmanageable. Now here's the thing. Years ago, Tamar's behavior was entertaining. People loved her. She was a fan favorite. The drama, the one-liners, the reads, baby, she was pure television gold. But in recent years, the fans have switched up, and they did it fast. Now people are saying she's become toxic. They say she needs help. They say she's exhausting to watch. Girl, they're saying she never sees herself as wrong, never takes accountability. And baby, she's almost 50 years old and still falling out with everybody she knows. The public perception is slipping, okay? And at this point, a lot of people genuinely believe she's never going to change, that this is just who she is and who she'll always be. And baby, that's sad. But here's where Tamar pushes back. She's been saying, "You'll want to blame me for everything? You'll want to act like I'm the problem." Well, according to Tamar, Miss Evelyn is the root of it all. And baby, she's not just throwing her mama's name out there for shock value. She's been very specific. Tamar says all the sisters carry bitterness and resentment from their childhood. She says the way they were raised, the environment they grew up in, and the things they witnessed shaped them into the women they are today. And here's the kicker. Child, Tamar is the only one openly connecting their behavior to Evelyn's parenting. The other sisters stay quiet. They act like everything is fine. But Tamar, baby, she's laying it all on the table. And honey, people are starting to listen. So let's talk about Miss Evelyn and Michael Sr.'s divorce, because this is where it all begins. They've been divorced for over 20 years now. Over 20 years. And Miss Evelyn still carries deep resentment toward that man. Child, she has not let it go. And that bitterness, that anger, that unresolved resentment, baby, it set the tone for how all those daughters learn to handle hurt, conflict, and disappointment in their own lives.
Evelyn could say some things out her mouth that are really cutting.
But your daughters are being held emotionally hostage to your ex-wife's bitterness towards you. You and her need to get on the same side of the table and free those girls. Because the elephant in the room that nobody will talk about is Evelyn Braxton's attitude.
Because here's the thing. Girl, children don't just see anger. They absorb it. They learn how to move through the world by watching it. And they carry that energy with them straight into adulthood.
I don't even think they look at me as a sister. They don't like me. We were very close as kids, very close as young adults, and now where we are in our lives, that relationship no longer serves us. And I would hate to keep arguing with them and keep building negative memories instead of building and relying and thinking of the good memories that we.
So when Tamar talks about holding grudges, being defensive, and lashing out, where do you think she learned that from? Exactly. Miss Evelyn was a blueprint. Child. Now listen. People love to act like Tony is a classy one, like she's somehow above all the mess. But baby, let me tell you something. Tony is just as messy as the rest of them. She's simply quieter about it. She moves differently. But make no mistake, the mess is still there. Because at the end of the day, they all grew up in the same house. They all had the same mother. They all witnessed the same dysfunction. So no, Tony is not exempt. None of them are. Whether they want to admit it or not, they were all affected by that environment. Now let's get into the real tea about Miss Evelyn's parenting. Because baby, it was toxic. Capital T, capital O, capital XIC. During the divorce, Miss Evelyn forced those children to pick sides. She made them choose between her and their father. And honey, that is damaging. That is manipulative. And then there's Tamar, the youngest. Baby girl was right in the middle of all of it, and she heavily sided with her mother. Over time, Tamar's dependency on Evelyn only grew stronger. She became her mother's emotional support child. And honey, that is a burden no child should ever be asked to carry.
Because everything she said she thought was right.
Pitiful lie, too.
And as long as you agree with her, she's fine. And it's the same thing with y'all. If y'all don't agree with her, she is pissed. And it's time for y'all to stop letting your mother run y'all.
Now listen, Miss Evelyn loved being right. And when I say loved, I mean she lived for it. She loved controlling the narrative. She loved being in charge. And if you dared to disagree with her, baby, she would shut it down immediately. She guilt-tripped those girls constantly, reminding them she raised 6 kids alone. 6 kids. Girl. And honey, she didn't just say it. She used it as a weapon. She made them feel like they owed her, like they could never question her, like they were required to accept whatever she said because of everything she sacrificed. So Tamar grew up completely unable to challenge her mother's authority. She learned to fall in line, keep her mouth shut, and do what Mama said. And baby, that kind of upbringing creates deep psychological wounds that don't just disappear with age. Even now, Miss Evelyn's bitterness and unresolved anger still spill into the family dynamic. It's like a slow-moving poison. Girl, one that keeps spreading and touching everything in its path.
Let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So looking at Tina Knowles and her children, and looking at Evelyn Braxton and her girl, it's proof to me that forgiveness or unforgiveness and bitterness can trickle down to your kids. I feel like Tina Knowles is the reason why Solange and Beyonce are able to persevere and press through adversity with grace and poise. I know this is a weird way to put it, but Beyonce and Solange was able to see their parents go through a healthy divorce. Even Miss Tina acknowledged that they did not go back and forth. And honestly, she had every reason to be bitter and not forgive him for having an outside baby on her. And then on the other hand, we can look at Miss Evelyn Braxton and see why her daughters are still on each other's neck in their 40s. And
now here's where it really gets interesting, baby, because the public is finally starting to see what Tamar has been saying all along. More and more people are agreeing with her now. They are saying Miss Evelyn set the tone for the disrespect, the emotional damage, and the toxic communication in that family. Folks are pointing out that she represents so many toxic mothers who raise wounded adult women, women who struggle with relationships, boundaries, and self-worth because of how they were raised. And girl, people are finally admitting that the Braxton family has always been toxic, with Miss Evelyn right at the center of it. They are saying the sisters don't actually like each other. They tolerate each other for the cameras and the checks. And Tamar, baby, becomes a scapegoat because she's loud. She's the one who says what everyone else is thinking. She's the one who refuses to pretend everything is fine. And honey, that makes her the villain in everyone's eyes, even though she might be the most honest one of them all. So now that we've laid all this tea out on the table, I want to know, what do you think? Is Tamar really the problem? Or has Miss Evelyn been the true villain of the Braxton family this whole time? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Girl, because I want to hear it all. Do you think Tamar has a point? Do you think she's just making excuses? Or do you think there's been some truth to what she's been saying all these years? And listen, if you made it this far, baby, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Because honey, we serve tea on this channel every single time. Teacup with handle.